Today, I'm going to tell you something no man will ever confess, something discovered after decades of listening to hidden truths in therapy rooms, and it can forever change the way you understand men. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what goes through a man's mind in those crucial moments after intimacy. And believe me, this knowledge can completely transform your love life. But before I reveal this clinical secret that may shape your romantic destiny, I need you to do two things right now. First, hit the subscribe button because you won't find this kind of content anywhere else online. Second, tell me in the comments if you've ever stayed awake after sex, wondering what on earth he was really thinking, because the answer I'm about to give you will shock you. My dear listener, after years of therapeutic practice, I can tell you with absolute certainty, there is one moment in intimate relationships that defines the entire future of the couple. It's not during the dating phase, not on the first date, not even with the first kiss. It happens right after the sexual act, in those minutes of silence when the male mind processes something that decides if you are just for one night or for a lifetime. And you need to understand this now. The silence after intimacy. There is a moment that almost no one talks about, yet it is one of the most powerful in the entire dynamic between a man and a woman. It is not the passion itself, not the touch, not the kiss, and not even the act of union. It is what happens right after. The silence that follows intimacy is not empty. It is filled with signals, emotions, and decisions that silently shape what will come next. Many women underestimate this moment, but inside a man's mind, it is like standing at a crossroad. One path leads to deeper connection, respect, and the possibility of building a future. The other leads to detachment, distance, and the quiet decision that this was just temporary. Why is silence so important? Because silence is when truth appears. During the act, emotions, adrenaline, and physical pleasure dominate the body and confuse the mind. But once it ends, once breathing slows and the body starts to calm down, the brain is no longer hidden by the fog of desire. In those minutes, he starts to think. And those thoughts often decide more than the act itself. A man may not say anything out loud, but the way he feels in that pause tells him everything he needs to know. Does he feel peace in your presence? Or does he feel trapped, anxious, or empty? Does he sense closeness that warms his heart? Or does he sense a void that pushes him away? Silence makes those answers clear. And though he may never confess them, his behavior afterward always reveals the truth. For many women, this silence feels confusing or even threatening. You may lie there wondering what he is thinking, questioning if you did something wrong, or fearing that his quietness means rejection. But the reality is different. That silence is not rejection. It is evaluation. It is his natural way of processing. Men are not always good with words in moments of vulnerability, so their mind speaks louder than their mouth. What you see as absence is actually his inner dialogue deciding what you truly mean to him. If he feels safe, respected, and emotionally connected, his silence will carry calmness. He will stay close, touch you gently, or simply relax beside you. That is his unspoken way of saying you are not just desire, you are something more. But if his silence feels cold, if he pulls away quickly or seems restless, that often reflects that he sees this as just a passing moment. You don't need to ask him. The silence already told you. Understanding this can change how you look at intimacy forever. Instead of fearing silence, you can learn to listen to it. You can notice the signals in his body language, his breathing, his closeness or distance. You can discover what words would never reveal. This moment after intimacy is like a mirror. It reflects what he truly feels, not what he pretends to feel. And for men, silence is also a test of themselves. They realize in that pause whether they want to stay or leave, whether they are comfortable with the closeness, or if it scares them. Some men fear losing independence, others fear emotional exposure, while others feel safe and open. The silence exposes all of that. Many relationships are defined not by what happens during passion, but by what happens after. The minutes of silence can build trust or destroy it. They can create the foundation for a future or set the stage for separation. That is why this moment matters so much. It is the invisible space where the future is written. So next time you find yourself in that quiet moment, remember, silence is not empty. Silence is full of meaning. It is not your enemy. It is your window into his truth. And if you learn to understand it, you will never again feel confused about what a man feels after intimacy. The emotional split second. There is a brief instant after intimacy that carries enormous weight, even though it passes almost unnoticed. It is the emotional split second when a man's mind and heart silently choose a direction. He may not even be aware of how powerful this choice is, but it defines the way he will treat you afterward. While you may still be feeling closeness and warmth, his brain is busy making a decision that could determine if you are only part of a passing story, or if you are the woman who awakens something deeper inside him. This moment is not measured by minutes or hours. It is measured by a single shift in how he perceives you and the connection you share. At first, passion blinds him. Desire takes control, and in that state he cannot clearly separate feelings from impulses. But as soon as the intensity fades, clarity arrives. In that clarity, he begins to weigh the experience. Was it only about physical release? Or did it touch something within him that feels safe, inspiring, and real? This is the hidden decision of the emotional split second. For many women, this moment feels unfair because it seems invisible. You cannot see his thoughts, and he may never speak them. Yet his actions, tone of voice, and attitude in the hours or days that follow always reflect that internal choice. If he sees you as someone with whom he shares not only attraction but also trust, he will show consistency. He will reach out, care for your feelings, and create space for more than passion. But if he sees you as temporary, you will notice the distance. Calls may fade, messages may shorten, and the warmth you felt will suddenly cool down. The reason this split second is so decisive is that men are wired to separate pleasure from attachment. For some, intimacy is a way to bond. For others, it is simply a way to satisfy desire. Which one it will be depends on what he feels right after. That is the window where his mind places you into one category or the other. He may not want to hurt you. He may not even consciously analyze it, but deep inside he already knows the truth. Think of it as a hidden filter. Every experience passes through it. A man may admire your beauty, enjoy your company, and even show affection. Yet if, in that instant after intimacy, his emotions do not align with a sense of respect and closeness, he will unconsciously decide to step back. On the other hand, if he feels peace and appreciation, if his heart rests easily in your presence, he will keep moving closer, often without even knowing why. This is why so many women feel confused when a man's behavior suddenly changes. They think everything was fine, that passion was strong, that connection was real. And then, after intimacy, his interest fades. The truth is that his decision was made in that emotional split second. Nothing else changed. The passion was real, but his evaluation afterward told him which path to follow. The key is not to fear this hidden decision, but to understand it. Instead of asking yourself endless questions or doubting your worth, you can accept that men go through this natural process. It is not about being perfect. It is about recognizing that intimacy reveals truths no one can fake. A man can pretend many things before intimacy, but in that moment right after, his real feelings surface. What can you do with this knowledge? You can watch without anxiety. You can listen to silence, observe his presence, and allow his actions to show the truth. You do not need to chase, to ask, or to push. That instant already told you everything. And when you start to trust what you see in those moments, you gain freedom. You stop investing energy in men who only see you as temporary, and you start protecting your heart for the one who chooses you in that emotional split second. Remember, love is not proven in words spoken in heat. It is proven in the choices made after desire is satisfied. That single moment of clarity is where the future of the relationship begins, and if you learn to see it, you will never again be blind to what a man truly feels. When you understand the hidden patterns that guide love and desire, everything changes. The Jung Method helps you see those patterns clearly, so you can finally feel in control of your relationships. The link is pinned in the first comment. Desire versus attachment. Every woman wonders at some point if intimacy is enough to create a bond. The truth is, for men, there is often a battle happening inside them right after the act, a battle between simple desire and genuine attachment. This battle is invisible, yet it defines how he will treat you when the passion fades. Desire is physical. It burns hot and fast. Attachment is emotional. It takes root quietly and lasts. The moment after intimacy is when these two forces collide, and the stronger one always wins. In the heat of passion, it is easy to believe that closeness equals commitment. But when the body relaxes and the mind becomes clear, the difference between desire and attachment becomes obvious to him. If it was only desire, he may feel satisfaction but little connection. If attachment is present, he will feel not only satisfaction but also comfort, peace, and the wish to stay near you. This is how his brain silently separates the women he sees as temporary from the ones he cannot imagine losing. Many women confuse the intensity of desire with the depth of love. A man can show extreme passion, but that does not always mean his heart is involved. Desire seeks release. Attachment seeks presence. After intimacy, when his desire is fulfilled, the test begins. If he feels only emptiness, it means desire was in control. If he feels closeness and warmth, it means attachment is taking root. And this difference matters more than anything else. This inner conflict often explains why some men pull away after being intimate. They may not even understand why they lose interest so quickly. The reason is that their brain realizes it was only about desire, not attachment. On the other hand, when a man feels attachment, he becomes more drawn to you after intimacy, not less. He wants to talk, to touch, to stay close. That is his natural way of saying you are not just a moment, but someone who matters. Understanding this helps protect your heart. It shows you that passion by itself is not enough to secure commitment. What truly matters is the feeling he is left with once the passion ends. If it is only desire, you will notice distance. If it is attachment, you will notice consistency. He will not run from you. He will move toward you even when words are few. This difference also explains the hidden fears men face. Desire is easy. It demands little. Attachment is riskier because it opens the door to vulnerability, responsibility, and emotional exposure. Some men avoid attachment because it scares them. Others embrace it because it makes them feel alive. The battle inside him is not just about you. It is about his own ability to face closeness without fear. For women, the key is to stop confusing one for the other. Desire feels strong, but often fades. Attachment feels calm, but lasts. When you learn to watch how a man behaves, right after intimacy, you will see which one is guiding him. The man who rolls away, avoids eye contact, or distracts himself with his phone is following desire. The man who stays near, who holds you even without words, is guided by attachment. Knowing this truth does not mean you have to test him or play games. It simply means you can observe without illusions. You no longer need to guess if he cares. His behavior in that moment answers the question clearly, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The battle between desire and attachment decides if intimacy builds love or ends with silence. It is the invisible line that separates temporary connections from lasting ones. And the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you free yourself from relationships that will never give you the love you deserve. So remember, passion can be beautiful, but passion alone is not enough. What matters is what survives after passion is gone. That is where attachment lives. That is where love is born. And that is where the future of your relationship quietly begins. The power of vulnerability. When the lights fade and the intensity of intimacy slows, something unexpected appears. It is not always passion, not always comfort, but something far more delicate: vulnerability. For a man, this is the moment he feels most exposed, not because of his body, but because of his emotions. He may act confident, he may act in control, but deep inside, after intimacy, his guard is lower than at any other time. What happens in this space of vulnerability decides how he sees you and how safe he feels with you. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many believe it is weakness, but in reality it is strength disguised as openness. When a man is vulnerable, his true self slips past the masks he normally wears. The silence after intimacy strips away his defenses, and what remains is the raw version of him. If in that moment he feels judged, dismissed, or misunderstood, he will quickly rebuild his walls. But if he feels accepted, safe, and valued, his walls stay down and attachment grows. Most men are not used to sharing this part of themselves. Society teaches them to stay strong, to hide fear, to act as if nothing touches them. That is why these minutes after intimacy matter so much. His body may be resting, but his mind is searching. Am I safe here? Can I relax? Can I trust this woman with who I really am? These questions may never leave his mouth, but they echo inside him. Your presence gives him the answer. If he senses warmth, patience, and care in those quiet moments, he associates you with safety. He realizes that intimacy with you is not just about desire, but about being seen without fear. And once a man feels this kind of safety, he does not forget it. He may not say it directly, but he will return to it again and again, because true safety is rare. On the other hand, if he feels pressured, criticized, or reduced to the physical side of the encounter, his vulnerability turns into shame. That shame pushes him away, not because of you personally, but because of the pain of being exposed and not accepted. Vulnerability becomes a risk he no longer wants to take, and so he distances himself to protect his heart. This is why the way you hold space after intimacy is so powerful. Holding space does not mean talking endlessly or filling silence with words. It means being present without judgment, allowing him to rest in your energy without needing to perform. It means letting his heart settle into yours without asking for explanations. It is in that stillness that men feel the difference between a fleeting partner and someone who truly sees them. When a man feels he can be vulnerable with you, something shifts. Desire turns into trust. Passion turns into attachment. Fear turns into peace. He may not explain it, but his actions will show it. He will reach for you more often, not only in passion, but in daily life. He will share pieces of his inner world. He hides from others. And he will begin to see you not only as a woman he desires, but as a woman he respects. For many women, this realization brings empowerment. You no longer have to guess or chase. You simply create space where vulnerability feels safe. If he responds by opening up, you know his heart is involved. If he closes off or runs, you know he was never ready to give more than desire. Either way, you gain clarity. The power of vulnerability is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about being there in a way that tells him, you are safe to be human here. That single message can do what passion alone never can. It can transform a temporary connection into a lasting bond. So remember, after intimacy, his greatest unspoken need is not more passion, but permission to be real. If you can give him that, you hold a power greater than beauty, greater than charm, greater than anything else. You hold the power of vulnerability. His fear of losing freedom. For many men, intimacy is not only about closeness, but also about hidden fears. One of the strongest fears that rises right after intimacy is the fear of losing freedom. This fear does not always make sense logically, but emotionally it is very real. In those quiet minutes after passion fades, his mind often shifts from desire to reflection, and part of that reflection whispers, am I about to lose myself? Am I stepping into something that will control me? This does not mean he does not like you, nor that he did not enjoy the moment. It simply means that intimacy has awakened an inner conflict. On one side, he wants connection. On the other, he values independence. Balancing these two can feel like walking on a tightrope. The closer he feels to you, the stronger the fear may rise inside him that closeness will cost him his freedom. Men are often raised with the idea that being independent defines strength. They are taught to carry their own weight, to control their own path, and to protect their sense of autonomy. When intimacy pulls them into deep closeness, it threatens that image. Even though the connection may feel beautiful, his inner world wonders if he will now have to give up space, choice, or identity. This explains why some men suddenly act distant right after being very close. The switch seems confusing for women. One moment he is passionate, the next he seems quiet or distracted. But the truth is not that his feelings disappeared. It is that his fear of losing freedom started to surface. He may not speak it, but his actions reveal it. Pulling back becomes his way of protecting himself from a relationship he fears might limit him. Understanding this fear is important. It shows you that distance is not always rejection. Sometimes it is self-protection. He is not running from you. He is running from the idea of being trapped. The difference matters because it helps you respond with clarity instead of pain. Instead of pushing harder for closeness, you can give him space. And by doing so, you show him that being with you does not mean losing himself. When a man realizes that intimacy with you does not take away his freedom but adds to it, his fear begins to dissolve. If he feels he can still breathe, still grow, and still be himself, then closeness no longer feels like a cage. It feels like a choice. And when love feels like a choice instead of a prison, he chooses it again and again. The fear of losing freedom is also tied to responsibility. Many men connect intimacy with future expectations. They may worry that closeness will immediately lead to demands they are not ready to fulfill. Commitment, family, or the weight of duty can all rise in his imagination. These thoughts often appear in those silent moments after passion. While you may be enjoying peace, his mind is already running ahead, asking questions about what this means for his future. The best way to calm this fear is not to pressure it. Reassure him through your actions, not through demands. Show him that connection does not mean control, and that love can exist without chains. The more freedom he feels around you, the less he fears losing it. And the less he fears, the more he can give. When a man feels safe with his freedom, intimacy becomes a gift instead of a threat. He will lean into closeness instead of resisting it. He will see you not as someone who takes from him, but as someone who shares life with him. And that changes everything. So remember, after intimacy, his silence may not be about indifference. It may be about fear. Fear of being tied down. Fear of losing identity. Fear of giving up freedom. When you understand this, you stop taking his distance personally. You realize it is not a wall against you, but a defense against his own fear. And once you see that, you can respond with wisdom. Freedom is not the opposite of love. True love includes freedom. And when he feels both with you, that is when his heart opens without resistance. Respect beyond the bedroom. After intimacy, something far more important than passion reveals itself. Respect. Desire may bring two people together, but respect is what decides if they stay together. In the quiet moments after closeness, a man unconsciously evaluates whether he sees you with true regard or only as someone who satisfied a need. This difference changes everything. Respect is not shown in grand words or dramatic promises. It is revealed in small actions when no one is watching. Does he stay near you after passion fades? Or does he pull away quickly? Does he look at you with softness, or does he avoid your eyes? Does he show care in his tone and movements, or does he act as if nothing meaningful just happened? These tiny signals, often overlooked, are the clearest signs of respect, or the lack of it. When a man respects you beyond the bedroom, his behavior reflects consistency. He does not vanish once desire is gone. Instead, he continues to treat you with value and dignity. Respect means he sees you not only as a partner in passion, but as a person with depth, with emotions, with worth. It means he does not separate intimacy from affection, but blends them into one expression of connection. Without respect, intimacy becomes hollow. A man may desire you, But without respect, his care ends at the physical level. That is why so many women feel used. Even when passion was intense, the body was satisfied, but the heart was ignored. Respect is what protects you from being reduced to a moment. It is what lifts you from being just part of a night to being part of his life. Respect also defines how safe you feel. When a man respects you, you sense it. You do not need to question his intentions because his actions speak clearly. He is gentle when he should be, attentive when it matters, and considerate even in silence. That kind of presence cannot be faked. It is either there or it is not, and once you notice it, you understand what kind of man you are truly with. For men, respect is also a mirror. The way he treats you after intimacy reflects how he sees himself. A man who values his own integrity will not mistreat or dismiss you, because doing so would lower his own sense of honor. On the other hand, a man who lacks respect for himself will often lack respect for you. That is why his behavior after intimacy is such a clear indicator of his character. If he respects you beyond the bedroom, he will make effort to protect your heart, not just your body. He will care about how you feel after, not just how he feels during. He will recognize that intimacy is not a transaction but a bond, and bonds deserve protection. This respect is what separates fleeting attraction from meaningful connection. The truth is that passion alone cannot sustain a relationship. Without respect, passion fades into emptiness. With respect, passion deepens into love. Respect is the bridge between physical closeness and emotional security. It is what tells you that you are not being used but being valued. And in those quiet moments after intimacy, that truth becomes visible in ways you cannot ignore. For women, learning to observe respect is essential. Do not be blinded by words or promises. Watch how he acts in the silence after closeness. Does he make you feel seen, heard, and safe? Or does he make you feel invisible once desire is gone? Those answers will tell you more than any confession could. Respect beyond the bedroom is the foundation of real connection. It transforms intimacy from a temporary high into a lasting bond. It assures you that passion is not empty, but part of something greater, and it gives you the clarity to know whether the man beside you is truly worthy of your heart. So remember, desire may bring two bodies together, but respect is what allows two souls to stay close. If he respects you when the lights are off and the silence is loud, then you have found something worth keeping. If not, you already know the truth, and the silence has spoken louder than words ever could. The unspoken test. After intimacy, every man passes through a moment that feels like an invisible test. He may not talk about it, and he may not even realize it is happening, but his heart and mind quietly measure something important. It is not about performance. It is not about technique, and it is not about the act itself. The unspoken test is about emotional safety. Can he rest beside you without pressure? Can he breathe without feeling judged? Can he allow himself to be fully present without fear? These silent questions decide more about your future with him than anything else. The test begins in the stillness. When passion ends, what remains is truth. In that truth, he discovers whether he can trust the bond that has just been formed. If he feels safe, he will let his guard down, even if only in small ways. He may stay close, touch you gently, or allow a softness to appear in his voice. These are signs that he passed the unspoken test, that he sees you as someone with whom he can be real. But if the silence feels heavy, if he distances himself quickly or avoids closeness, it means the test revealed his hesitation. He may enjoy you, but he is not ready to let you into the deeper parts of his soul. That does not mean you failed as a woman. It means his heart is not prepared to open. The unspoken test is less about you and more about his ability to embrace vulnerability. Why is this moment so important? Because intimacy always awakens hidden truths. During passion, masks can remain in place. But afterward, the body cannot lie, and the heart cannot hide. His behavior in those minutes reflects what he truly feels. If he is able to rest in your presence without fear, You know he sees more than a temporary connection. But if he cannot, the silence has already revealed the limits of his intentions. The unspoken test is not about words. Many men will say what they think you want to hear, but their actions, their tone, and their presence after intimacy speak louder than promises. When a man feels comfortable enough to let go of his defenses, he shows you his truth. That truth is worth more than any speech. For women, recognizing this test is empowering. You no longer need to chase explanations or demand clarity. The answers are already in front of you. If he holds you, if he chooses to stay present, if he looks at you with softness, he is showing that he feels something real. If he withdraws, if he distracts himself, if he avoids contact, then he is telling you the opposite. The test was taken, and the result is clear. Some women fear this reality because it feels final. They hope that with time or effort, they can change his reaction. But the truth is, the unspoken test happens naturally, and it rarely lies. It is the moment when his unconscious reveals whether he sees you as temporary or lasting. And once that truth is clear, it cannot easily be rewritten. This test also protects you. It prevents you from wasting time in illusions. Instead of waiting months to discover his intentions, you can see them in those first quiet moments. The way he treats you after intimacy is the way he will treat you in the future. Respect, care, and presence will not appear later if they are not there now. The unspoken test spares you the pain of pretending. When a man passes the unspoken test, intimacy becomes more than passion. It becomes a doorway into something deeper. He is not only with you physically, he is with you emotionally. He chooses not only your body, but your presence, your soul, your essence. That is the kind of choice that leads to love that lasts. So remember, after intimacy, there is always a test. He may not know he is taking it, but his behavior reveals the result. Watch carefully, trust what you see, and let his silence guide you. The unspoken test will always tell you the truth. The choice that shapes the future. Every intimate moment carries a weight greater than passion itself. Beyond the fire of desire and the quiet of vulnerability lies a decision that shapes everything that follows. A man may not consciously recognize it, but in those minutes after intimacy, his mind and heart make a choice. That choice is whether he sees you as someone temporary or as someone who belongs in his life story. It is not dramatic, it is not loud, but it is decisive. The choice that shapes the future is not about perfection. It is not about how flawless you look or how well the moment unfolded. It is about the feeling he is left with when silence arrives. If the silence feels empty, his decision may lean toward detachment. If the silence feels safe, his decision moves toward closeness. This choice is not a calculation, it is an instinct, and instinct is almost impossible to override. For men, this choice often comes with surprising clarity. They may struggle to explain it, but they sense it deeply. A man knows when intimacy was only physical. He also knows when it touched something greater. The moment after passion is when he sorts the difference. The body calms, the heart speaks, and the truth surfaces. From there, he moves in one of two directions: distance or devotion. Many women misunderstand this choice because it seems hidden. They look for words, for promises, for labels, but men rarely announce these decisions. Instead, they reveal them through actions. Does he keep close, engage with you, show tenderness beyond desire? Or does he retreat, avoid, and distract himself? Those behaviors are the echoes of the choice already made. The beauty of this moment is that it cannot be faked. During dating, during conversations, even during intimacy, people can wear masks. But after intimacy, masks slip. In that quiet stillness, his real self steps forward. That is why this choice carries so much weight. It is his unfiltered truth, whether or not he ever admits it out loud. For you, understanding this choice is power. It frees you from confusion, from waiting, from endless guessing games. You no longer have to wonder where you stand because his behavior after intimacy already reveals it. If he chooses closeness, you feel it in his presence. If he chooses distance, you feel it in the space he creates. Either way, you gain clarity. This knowledge also protects your heart. Instead of holding on to illusions, you can see reality. The man who chooses you in silence is the one who will choose you in life. The man who avoids you after passion is the one who will avoid commitment later. The choice he makes in that quiet moment foreshadows the path of the relationship. It may sound simple, but the truth is powerful. Intimacy is not the proof of love. What happens after intimacy is the proof. That is when men show what they really want. That is when the mask of desire falls and the reality of attachment, respect, or distance emerges. You do not have to push, convince, or test him. The decision is already made in that moment, and his actions will tell you which path he has chosen. When a man chooses you in those quiet minutes, something beautiful happens. The relationship is no longer about temporary passion. It becomes about safety, about respect, about something he wants to protect. That choice builds trust, and trust builds love. And when he does not choose you, it is not the end of your worth. It is only the revelation of his truth. That knowledge saves you from investing in someone who cannot give you what you deserve. It guides you toward the love that will. The silence after intimacy is never empty. It is the space where choices are made, where futures are decided, and where truths are revealed. Learn to listen, and you will never again be blind to what a man truly feels.